Poker's legendary champions, next-generation stars, and tireless ambassadors of the game, sharing their wisdom and guiding your journey to high achievement on the green felt. This is Tactical Tuesday on Chasing Poker Greatness with your host, Brad Wilson.
Welcome to another episode of Tactical Tuesday. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, John, who's now in the intro. For those of you who listened to the full intro, congratulations, John. You made it to the big time.
Yeah, heard my name on the intros, actually. It felt good. I should have done it earlier.
Do you remember the days when you were just an anonymous black silhouette in the background? You did it. You wanted to be this mysterious young man who is the co-host, and then you had the idea of going to YouTube.
I mean,
which killed the anonymous young man
on YouTube. I mean, but at the beginning we were doing YouTube with I guess we did start YouTube with the webcam. So at the beginning, though, to be fair, I didn't know that I was going to be doing as many episodes of Tactical Tuesday as we've done. I thought I was filling in for like 2 weeks for, Coach Thomas to get better and get his voice back, and thought that was going to be it for me. But
well, now you're stuck. Sorry, that's how it works. You accidentally fell into it, and now you're here. I would actually. We've done so many of these now that I almost want to go back and listen to some of the first ones that we did to see how you've progressed over the past 9 or 10 months, because I have to imagine the progression has been quite noticeable.
Yeah, we should go look back. We should go look at some hands, and especially like with the wolf strats in mind. Just maybe we can do a Tactical Tuesday episode on like 6 hands that I played a year ago and what I would do differently today.
Yes, basically our knockoff version of On Second Thought. So solve for wise thing. But it's good traveling back to the past, seeing those hands with fresh eyes, new perspective. I think for the listener, one thing that I advise my coaching students to do somewhat regularly, maybe a couple times a year, is go back and watch their videos that they recorded like 6 months ago or a year, because it's not always obvious your progression on a day-to-day basis. But when you go back like 6 months and see how you were thinking about things, hear your verbalizations, it's quite stark, the difference in like how they were doing versus how they are doing today.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's sometimes I don't even have to go back 6 months to like feel like kind of cringy about like some of the things that I see myself do even like a few months ago or a few weeks ago. I'm like, oh my God, like I can't believe I used to do that, or I can't believe I did that yesterday.
Yeah, me, you, and Chu went like way back in the vault, because apparently I have like every coaching session I've ever done, every podcast episode I've ever recorded, on a hard drive. And we looked back at our first coaching session that we ever did together, and it was
please never show that to anybody.
Yeah, that gets immediately released the day that you decide to step down from Tactical Tuesday. That's all
right, you got me.
That's a blackmail. Today's episode, what are we looking at? I know that you've been battling at LAPC, right? So looking at some live hands.
Yeah, I live in LA, and every year at the beginning of the year, January and February, there's the LA Poker Classic that runs at the Commerce, and there are a bunch of big tournaments. I think it used to be a WPT stop, but I don't know if it's a WPT stop anymore. But anyways, a lot of big tournaments, a lot of people in town playing cash. I'm sure there are a lot of people who like live in LA and might not be playing poker otherwise, that only play during this time. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it for sure used to be a WPT stop. I think Matt Savage was on the pod in his last episode and said that he wasn't going to the Commerce anymore, but I'm not sure exactly why. But LAPC has been historically the second largest poker festival of the year besides the WSOP. Like, right. It is massive and lasts for over a month, and just giant tournaments. It is interesting. Like, I wonder why there's no WPT.
I think
LAPC
commerce,
anymore.
like the casinos have to pay. Like I don't want to. This might not be the right reason, but I think commerce and the casinos that host the WPT events like pay a fee to WPT every time they come in town. And like I heard that was a big point of contention for Bay 101 and why like Shooting Stars was like off for a year. Was that like after they built a new building, there was some issue with having to pay WPT like a huge amount of money to run the Shooting Stars there or something like that. So maybe something similar at commerce.
Yeah, I mean, how is WPT supposed to make the monies? Like, they got to make money somehow, right?
They don't collect like rake fees or anything like that from the series.
I have no idea. It appears as if they take a fee from the venue for bringing, a giant event in town that sort of spills over into cash game revenue, as well as just the tournament revenue, and then also it being on TV for millions of people watching at that specific casino too is probably not so bad advertising and publicity.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But anyway, enough of that. Let's see what's going on at the Commerce Casino during LAPC these days. At least 2 hands worth of the LAPC.
Yeah. These hands are actually both played at the bike. I have been playing at Commerce. Quite a bit this last week.
They never would have known, John. You're so honest. They never would have known, but now you ruined my setup here. We're at the bike.
It's down the street from the Commerce, basically. So
where LAPC is not going at the bike. So scratch all that. But okay, doesn't matter where you're at. Right now, we're on Tactical Tuesday, and we have this fancy replayer going. It looks like under the gun limps, which is always a good sign. And the small blind completes. You have an 8 and a 9 of different suits. I assume you check your option here.
Yep. Just one other, not a hugely important point, but this is actually a 3 blind game. We're playing 10, 20, 40. I don't know if there's a way to have straddles on the poker coaching replayer. So I just put in a $10 big blind ante to try to at least keep the pot size right. But technically I am in the straddle, and the small blind is technically the big blind. The small blind in the actual hand ended up folding. So yeah.
Wait, so we're heads up.
No, we're 3 ways. So okay, I'm in the straddle.
Okay.
The actual big blind, who is the small blind,
did somebody limp under the gun?
Yeah, somebody did. The fish does limp.
Okay.
The actual small blind
the big
folds.
blind, when the big blind completes. Okay.
Right.
I'm caught up.
All right.
Again, detail that may not have been
sure.
totally necessary.
I don't know. Maybe that affects the way something down the line that I'm not thinking about when you give feedback on the hand. So
maybe.
Who knows?
So you flop the middle pair, and the big blind, small blind checks. You check, and now the under the gun limper bets $80. Flop is Queen of Hearts, 9 of clubs, 5 of hearts. You have the 8 of diamonds, the 9 of hearts. So you flop middle pair. Nothing to do other than call, eh?
Yep.
All right. So not a ton of lively discussion there. You turn a gut shot. The turn is a 6 of diamonds. You check, and the villain now bets 200.
I think we can have some discussion here. I decided to call. I think this call might not be necessary. Yeah. But I mean, it's a fish, so.
Well, you have a straight draw now.
Yeah.
To go along with your middle pair.
Right.
So, whatever. All right. And the river completes the front door flush. There's 690 in the pot. We never even said the stack sizes, but there's like everybody's got 6K in front of them apparently.
Yeah, the depth ends up not mattering a ton, I think. But we were 6K effective.
So you check the river, and now they bet half pot.
Mm-hmm. I think you know what's coming, or you can probably guess.
Are we gonna raise?
I didn't want to say it at the beginning of the episode
we're gonna raise
to blow this hand, but this is gonna be probably episode 15 of me bringing in a hand of me turning a pair into a bluff and asking Brad what he thinks about it.
Oh God, Does my opinion ever change? Like, has it ever
That's
gotten...
the goal. It's to bring in one hand that finally gets you. You know what? This might be the spot where you can turn this into a bluff.
I think you beat King Jack, King 10, Jack 10, some other just random hands. I think it's like not necessary to turn your hand into a bluff. I guess what I'm assuming is that you thought the villain would bet larger with the flush, and so they were like effectively capped at Queen X, and you block the straight. So you decided to try to fold out top pair.
Yeah, that's exactly. I have a heart too, by the way. Don't know if you caught that, but I have a straight blocker.
I did see the heart, but it's so such a pointless data point that I just didn't even bother saying it.
Yeah, maybe he takes this line with 9x of hearts a lot. You know.
Yeah, maybe, maybe. So how much do you raise to? 2350. So we raised big.
Yeah.
So
I don't know, what size would you I guess you wouldn't even raise, so I don't know why I'm asking that question, but yeah, basically
you're gonna need to find another Tactical Tuesday co-host that will give you feedback on the size here.
I'm just trying to like send the message, I guess, with the size. It's like, hey, like I'm not thin value raising like 2-pair or something like that maybe you beat when you go bet. I'm very clearly repping a flush. That being said, okay, so just turning pairs into bluffs. I think there's a little bit more, maybe I'm just making excuses for myself, but like I think there's a little bit more I can go off of in like live games to determine like whether like I think my second pair is good or not. Just like little things like the way the fish puts the money in, like the way they're betting. And like, yeah, I could definitely be just, getting tricked or reverse telled or whatever. But like, I don't know. I just feel like there are certain situations where like I get to the river and the villain bets the river and I'm just like, okay, my 9 just does not feel like it's going to, I can call the spot. And maybe again, I'm just making excuses for not wanting to make thin calls, but.
Would you have called or raised online?
Oh, I would have called online.
So what was the data point that you prioritized in live? I mean, there are extra data points.
Yeah.
So what was it?
I don't know. It's just like like the confidence with which I can't like quantify like the confidence with which I thought he bet the river or like the I just feel like you can kind of get in live. You can sort of get more of a vibe, more of like an energy feel of like what this person is. You know what I mean?
So yeah, we're using the energy read here. So
I knew this was gonna happen. That's why I didn't want to bring this up.
So there's on a 0 to 10 level of confidence here. The villain doesn't have 0 confidence because then you would just call, but they don't have absolute confidence either. So this is like a middling energy read, if I get you, like a 6 on the...
Even if they were pretty confident, I think I would have raised versus the size. Maybe the size has to do with their confidence. I don't know. Like it's just 10 million things go through my subconscious when they stick this 350 out.
Well, I mean, we've come this far, I guess. So I don't really have a ton to add other than like, I guess, where you right.
I think so. So I put out this bet, and this was like, man, this is one of the things that is tough about live poker. People just tank for so long in live poker, especially compared to online. And I think especially when you don't have the timer like ticking down. Yeah, so he does end up folding. He picked up like the $400 or $500 chips to call, and like had them in his hand, put them on top of his cards. Almost felt like he like put them in the pot, or like almost put them in the pot before like thinking about it for like another couple of minutes or two. Here's one last thing I wanted to just kind of ask you a question about with my raise sizing. So I made it exactly like 2,000 more than what he bet, and I think that like when I made it 2,000 more, he just snap reached for like 4 chips, like making it kind of easy like that for them to call, where it's like, oh, it's only 4 more chips, or it's only like it takes like exactly 2,000 more, so I just pick up 2 1K chips and just like fling it in. I wonder if there's something to be said about like raising to sizes where they're like it's like more of a pain in the ass to call. They're less likely to just pick up 4 chips and like hook him in.
The quality of Tactical Tuesday has gone down so much from week to week here.
These are things I think about while playing live poker.
I don't know.
Maybe I should have raised to 23.75. Like,
yeah, make it like 25-25 or something. Like make it more chips that they gotta put in front of them. I have no idea. I mean, how could you? The only way to know is to get out there and do this like 10,000 times and report back to me.
All right. Anyways, that was the first thought I had when I saw him snap reach for the $500 chips. It's like, I should have picked a different number.
For all we know, they're just like Hollywooding, right?
Oh yeah, like, for sure. Yeah. I mean, the tank was like long enough where like if he was Hollywooding, that would have been an egregious, like, I have nothing Hollywood. But yeah, it's a live program. Who knows? People can do whatever they want, and people definitely do some bizarre stuff. So could have just been Jack 10 pretending like it was a much tougher fold than it actually was. Yeah.
Imagining that they like go for it, you know. Imagining they just jam. They've got 7-5 and thinking about hero calling here on the river.
Oh my God, that would have hurt.
Why would it have hurt? That would have been good for you.
Oh, actually, no, never mind. You're right. I forgot I had a 9. I just assume when I'm bluffing the river that I don't have a pair.
Oh my God. All right. Let's
Just playing poker for lots of money. You guys don't even know what hand on the river.
Wow. With this hand in the books, yeah, stick around after the break. God only knows what's going to happen. I'm not going to set it up, but I'm sure you'll stick around for more of these live poker shenanigans.
It's a bigger pot than this one, and I did not necessarily want it to be that big.
Before I got Nuffle, I had run into a lot of donk bets. And I think once you play a certain amount of hands, you know there's something wrong with our opponent's strategies, but you don't know how to play to maximize EV against it. And it's very frustrating. I looked at the document and I couldn't believe that I paid money for it. I actually doubted that it could provide value because it was so brief. But since then, it's repaid me just over and over and over again. And it's one of the most consistent moneymakers built into my strategy that sheds light on just how bad your opponents are. And it took me 20 minutes to perfect it. And it's just amazing. Yeah, I'm speechless. It's just that good. The simplicity of it is part of it being a masterpiece.
Welcome back from the break. Now that we are, fully ready for these live poker hand histories, I hope you all calibrated after that brief sponsored break here for this next hand, the Ace-8 of diamonds. John, I'm going to need you when you're describing this hand to give all of the relevant data points in your description, including vibes and energy reads, everything. All right.
Didn't have any of this hand, so don't have to worry about them.
Wow. Where did it go? Where did they go?
They come and go, man.
Oh, okay. All right. So it looks like Villain starts the hand with 3K. You guys are playing 10-20 this time with no straddle.
Mm-hmm.
Villain opens to 60. You have them covered, or somebody's got somebody covered here.
Yeah, we're 3K effective. The Villain is a fish who has done a lot of open limping, so I think the 60 is kind of meaningful from someone who limps quite frequently.
Sure.
Not meaningful enough to not 3-bet the Ace-8 of diamonds, though.
Good energy read there. Well, we flopped the bottom pair. So you 3-bet to 200. Villain called. There's 430 in the pot. You got 2,800 behind. King, Queen, 8, King of Hearts, Queen of Diamonds, and the 8 of Clubs. First action here on the flop.
Villain checks. I'm going to be checking back this hand.
All right.
Whew.
It's a nice checking world here. You check back. The flop was King, Queen, 8. The turn is the 8 of Hearts. So now you have 3 8s with an ace kicker.
It gets even better.
how does it get better, John? So villain bets 420. Villain bets pot.
That's
here
what I was
on the turn.
referencing. Yeah.
Oh, that's the better part.
Yeah.
All right. So villain bets pot. There's about 3 bets left heading into the river.
I think this is going to be one of the spots that I wanted to ask you about. There are 3 bets left going into the river. Is this a spot where you would raise?
Or yes, I would raise.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's what I was worried about.
I would raise to small, like 1,000.
Are you worried about
probably
like
jam
not
river.
being able to get the 3 bets in on the river? Because I thought that we could when they bet pot, especially like I thought that we're gonna face a river barrel quite frequently, and even if we don't like face a huge one, just jamming over pretty much any size they pick once we call pot on the turn seems like it's gonna be okay too.
I mean, what if the river's a deuce of hearts? Like, do they bet 7-8 anymore? What if the river's an ace and they have king jack or something? Do they bet the river anymore? Like, once they just bet pot on the turn, I just feel like they're going to call your raise at quite a high frequency, and then you can just stick the rest in on the river.
Right.
And because like 2 bets need to go in on one street, so you're either jamming the river or you're raising the turn and jamming the river, jamming the river over the villain's river bet. And we don't know that the villain's going to bet the river, and a lot of times like this villain profile won't bet the river, and then we can't put in the bets.
Yeah, I think you are correct that like this villain profile, just from the few hours that I played with them, is like the type to like kind of would be very unlikely to bet like the deuce of hearts river or like something like that, I think. And like that's definitely the downside. I did decide to flatten that. Like that's definitely the downside, is that like they have a really strong hand right now that would be like happy to put tons and tons of money in, but there are a handful of river cards where that can very quickly change and we're no longer stacking them.
Yeah, it's unfortunate you didn't get the energy read here. That would be very valuable for this decision. You have the strong energy we can raise. You got the weak energy.
I didn't get the strong energy vibe from him.
No,
Okay. Yeah, I was a little worried about like the 9-10s and Jack 9 suited being in there.
Cool. We get the Jack of Hearts, our favorite card in the deck here on the river.
I was like, oh my god, this is like exactly what I was worried about.
I haven't reviewed these hands.
They check too.
Yeah, they check, and now you bet 500. So going back to raising the turn, it seems like raising the turn is better.
Yeah. Had you raised the turn, you think you'd check back this river? Like, what would you do on this river if you raised, got called, and they checked? Can't imagine checking. That's like seems so crazy.
I would just look at them, feel their energy, and then make my decision from there. Yeah,
that's what I did too.
Yeah. So you decided to bet half pot on the river here for value, 500. Let's hope they jam. Yeah, there you go.
Snap jammed. I don't even know if he knew how much I bet on the river before he jammed.
Mm-hmm. What are you looking at me for? You're on your own, buddy. I would have raised a turn. This is your world. You couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Why not?
What? You like botted the turn and then just checked like what are you saying? You checked like a flush or a straight or a boat on the river?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Anyways, I think I tanked for too long on the spot, longer than I should have. I was like in the tank and like starting to feel bad about how long it was taking me, but it was just so hard for me to imagine the fish checking a flush or a river straight or somehow having a boat. Like maybe they have queens or like doubt they have jacks. That pots the turn.
Well, for what it's worth, I mean, your hand looks like a bluff catcher, and generally when you have a bluff catcher, like villains are incentivized to just value bet so that you don't just check behind your ace queen.
Right.
Or your queen 10 or queen jack or whatever it is. So, I mean, I just don't think you can fold. I can't imagine folding here.
I didn't fold. Yeah, it didn't feel great. I was like, I don't know how I'm.
You're gonna beat like Jack 10 is what you're gonna beat, like, or Ace Jack or something. Like, you're gonna beat some random pair that turn itself into a bluff, or, I mean, maybe some kind of spaz.
Yeah, that's really all I'm hoping for. I don't know if like this villain profile is the type that would ever turn a Jack into a bluff. Like that would ever just look down at Jack 10 or Ace Jack and be like, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna check.
I mean,
like
they could
that
just
seems like a
have
stretch for like a passive fish that like limps pre-flop. You know?
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about their passivity pre-flop. I have no idea. Like I said, I would have gotten here in this way because when passive fish bets pot and I have trips with an ace kicker, I'm just like raising the turn, and not getting myself into these shenanigans here.
Oh, anyways, all that analysis being said, I agree with you that I should probably be raising the turn. I do end up calling, and the fish surprisingly turned over a hand that I didn't really expect to see, but maybe for a fish shouldn't be too surprising.
They have trip eights with a worse kicker, so they actually have trip eights with a board kicker. They turn their trips into a bluff. You should be proud.
Yeah, with the
them.
9 of hearts, it's like, you know, this guy's $500 bet just felt really strong. So
this is like the best hand for them to turn into a bluff. Look at this. Like, this is the JC special here.
All right. Yeah, I don't think that's what they're doing, but
why wouldn't they do it? We don't love it, but when we do it,
maybe I should give them more
we love
credit.
it. Yeah, it's unlucky they ran into calling station. What bluffs do they have here is probably what he said. He probably went home and recorded his own version of Tactical Tuesday in an alternate reality, and
it's like
wow.
talking about why you shouldn't bluff fish at live poker. Like,
yeah, like why? What are we doing here?
You guys don't even fold trips. Like,
you can't fold trips. Like, there's a straight and a flush completing. I block the boats. I mean, I don't understand.
Block everything.
What are they doing? Okay, so I guess that's
also kind of torpedoes my thing, like theory. I was like, oh well, he's probably stronger when he opens to 60 because he has a limping range. But live poker,
I mean, they just had an energy read. They thought this was a good hand for them to play, so they played it.
Oh man, I can't wait to bring that into my first like PPH or online poker hand analysis.
Yeah. I make energy reads. We should have the t-shirt printed up. You can just wear it everywhere.
Join Wolves. You'll learn how to do it too.
Yeah. That's in the, the higher performing Wolves, the next tier up. Once you're in the program, we teach the energy reads. We're saving those for now. I got nothing left to say about this hand. Nice hand. Way to win a pot, sir. Congratulations. If you would have raised the turn, it would have been way easier.
One last funny thing about this hand. So there were two pros to my left, like two pretty good regs to my left. And like after I tanked, called, showed down my hand, they both they were like kind of disgusted. They were like both acting like, what took so long? It's like, how would you ever, why are you tanking on the river for like such a long time? And I was like, dude, I had no idea. Like what hand would you guys think this guy has when you have like ace 8 and you bet the river and you check jams? Like, are you guys really like that excited about like calling it off? But they were both like throwing their hands up in there. Like, what? I can't believe we just waited like 3 minutes, like for you to call with ace 8 on the river. I don't know who's been saying it's either them or it's me, but
I mean, I don't know. I agree with you that like it's hard to think of logical hands that will like check raise, but I mean, come on, like the reality, like I'm as hell bent on eliminating stalling and tanking as anybody in the world. Like, I hate it more than anything, but in spots where you're playing a giant pot, you have to think about them, and you're an idiot if you don't think about them. And like, I think that it's just, I mean, I don't know. It's disrespectful when somebody's in a big spot that will determine their day one way or the other, to not allow them to have a few minutes to think about the spot, think it through before.
Oh, they didn't do anything like mid tank. It was just like after I showed down my hand, they were like,
even still,
I can't believe. Yeah.
Even still, like they're not in the spot, right? So like, I find it highly doubtful that if they were in the spot, they would have just snap called. And if they do snap call in this spot, that's probably does not reflect well upon them. I would think.
Yeah, maybe I just give regs too much credit. I'm just like, wow, man, maybe you're either way better than me or you're way worse than me. It's one of those two if you snap the spot.
Yeah, I'll let the audience come to their own conclusion. I have my conclusion, but I don't know. I've pretty much biased them towards you at this point. So who knows what they'll believe at the end of here. But I would say that you are most likely significantly better than them. And yeah, I think that's all I got for this episode of Tactical Tuesday. But I mean, you're playing, you're in the 2K NL streets online battling, right? Like it's kind of difficult to run into regs in the live poker arena who can beat 6max 2K NL online.
Yeah, I'll probably get absolutely smashed and put in the blender for the next week for saying this, but like this was the toughest hand that I played in the last week, just in terms of like mental energy. Like there hasn't been a spot that's like a reg it's just put me in just like an incredibly difficult decision, and like I feel like that happens pretty regularly when you play online. You kind of just have to be ready for that to happen like a handful of times a session, anytime you log on. So yeah, it's definitely pretty it's definitely more relaxing, I guess, to play live than it is to play online, even the same stakes.
Yeah, it's a big tell when the regs have to like pause their iPad to make a decision. That's a it's a strong data point.
Get an energy read off of that.
Yeah. Wait, gotta pause this episode of my show. I got a hand to play, guys. All right, man. Well, best of luck at wherever the hell you're playing at, the bike or commerce during LAPC for this upcoming week. And yeah, I don't know if I prefer live hands next week or not, but I guess I do. They're fun.
Yeah, I mean, you're not gonna have much of a choice from me unless I suddenly decide that I hate playing live.
Guys, put him in the spots. Put John in the spots this week. Let's go. All right, man. That's it.
See you next week.
Hey.
Sorry, did I cut you off? My bad. Thought that's what you were prompting me for.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to Chasing Poker Greatness. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts or on your favorite podcast app. Go to chasingpokergreatness.com to get the newsletter. Join the Greatness Village community, book a coaching session, or dive into the latest data-driven poker courses. Follow the show on Twitter @CPG Podcast.